Hey, thank you all for being here tonight and coming out just to show your support and your concern for what's going on in our county, in our state, and overall in our nation. So I'm Doug Coop, as you've just heard. I'm probably the one America First conservative candidate in this race for District 1. I'm also a person who believes in personal responsibility and not government override on our lives, okay? So the reason I'm running for the County Council District 1 is we have a lot of issues and a lot of problems going on, and I want to be that person that has a common sense voice in the council and have full transparency, as Rob declared earlier, okay? Letting people have their voice heard. We have a campaign where we're trying to bring about a database of emails for everybody in District 1, and then when an issue comes up, we want to be able to communicate transparently to everybody that the issue came up, and I want to be able to hear the voice of the people back, okay? That's a kind of a novel idea, representative government. I know you guys have heard of that before, but we want to try to restore that into our government again, because a lot of people are complaining about the county doesn't really listen, and the county has been so divided for so long. So we want to bring unity back into the county, and I hope with this election that we will have the majority of conservatives, real conservatives in the county to accomplish that and get things done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doug.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Glenn Young. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for setting this up. I know that it is a lot of work to do this, so I appreciate anybody that's willing to help our community be more informed on their voting choices. I'm Glenn Young. I am a father. I'm a husband. Those are my number one priorities. I have a wonderful, amazing wife. She's here this evening. You all should meet her. She's amazing. And she is my single biggest supporter.
Introduce her.
There she is. She's awesome. And I've got 5 kids. We have a full load from ages 4 all the way up to 17. So we are certainly busy. And it's a pleasure to be engaged in the community. And I just wanted to, real quickly, I wanted to ask, who here either has or their friends or family have had a catalytic converter stolen? I had mine stolen about 1.5 years ago as well. And our community is changing in more ways than one. I don't think anybody would say that we haven't seen a decline in our quality of life in the past few years. And so we need to work together as a community to address those issues. And they're incredibly complex. Homelessness is a very big issue. And I have been working for a very long time on trying to understand the entire situation that we're dealing with, and it is incredibly complex. The more you study, the more you realize that there is involved in it. And so clearly what we've been doing in the past is not working. In Clark County, our numbers of unsheltered homeless have increased by 109 in the previous 2 years. So we are going the wrong way. And what I promise to do is work together with the community and with our providers and with all the jurisdictions that are involved to get a cohesive plan to make some changes in our county for the better.
Thank you very much, Glenn. Well, I promise you that I didn't share anything with Glenn, but he practically read off my notes. So Glenn, a couple of these questions are going to be right up your alley, but you just touched on the broad strokes. So now I'm going to give you an opportunity to give us a few more answers. And we'll let Glenn go first because Doug went first on the opening statement. But okay, let's talk about safety and personal property crimes. You know, in my neighborhood, we routinely get our community mailbox broken into all the time. And I did a story on Clark County Today, you know, that basically the Postal Service and the police basically said there's nothing they can do. You know, that they have these master keys, and these master keys fit into thousands of mailboxes So to replace them would be impossible. But you mentioned catalytic converters, car theft. You know, the personal property crimes are, I think all of us would agree, are going crazy. So I know you said it was a complex issue, but can you elaborate a little bit more on what the county could do, what the county council could do to possibly help the Clark County Sheriff's Office make us feel more safe?
Absolutely. The number one thing we can do is support our law enforcement. We have not been doing that. We've not been funding them appropriately, and there's a challenging environment right now in law enforcement, and they're really struggling. And many are committed to our community, but when they are going to get paid 25% more for a job that nobody really wants to do right now, what are they to do? You know, they're faced with that choice: leave our community or stay here and suffer financially. So we have got to invest in our emergency services in our city. We've got to make sure that we're protecting our community, and we simply don't have the numbers to patrol. And it's a very, very dire situation. We're losing more sheriff deputies day by day. The numbers are continuing to dwindle. So more people are moving here, and we have less law enforcement officials to help enforce our laws. So that is the single biggest thing that we need to do, is make sure that we allocate the proper funding to fund our police department and our justice system. Because again, you can have enough officers too, but if you don't have enough room to people, you know, to have people who've committed crimes to take them where they need to go, we're not going to be able to do it. You know, the officer will arrest, and that's it. You know, nothing will come of it. So we have to be willing to invest in those systems to make it work for us in the community.
Thank you, Glenn. And Doug, same question? Do you need me to repeat it at all? Okay, just when it comes to the public's ability to feel safe and the rising crime rate, especially I'm referring to personal property crimes, what can the Clark County Council, what can the county do to help Clark County Sheriff's Office make us feel more safe?
Right, well, you probably know that District 1 has the highest car theft and carjackings, so that's not a good report. As far as all the other crimes that go on, they're going to continue to go on until we get the Sheriff's Department fully funded. Okay, that's a crisis. Why they pulled back, the county pulled back from funding the Sheriff's Department in the first place, I'll never know. Okay, that is simply wrong. So you're looking, yeah, you're looking at, you know, the statistics say you're supposed to have 4 sheriffs per 1,000 people. Well, they got less than half a man, okay, per 1,000 people. That's just totally 26% less pay than the Vancouver PD. I want to see where the money is going. We talk about the jail thing going on too, okay? And yet the jail, and I didn't get an answer back from the city of Vancouver, and I'm still waiting, because the jail sits within their district also. And we're always saying, it's the county's problem, it's the county's problem. I want to know how much skin in the game the city of Vancouver is providing for that jail also, okay? That's something to discover, and I want to do that when I get in there. I want to get an answer some way soon, okay? So to address that, to get the sheriffs up to speed, we're going to look at getting, hopefully, ARPA grant funds, okay? They're available, and I want to get those funds to the Sheriff's Department. They need $4 to $5 million right now to get them up to the place where they're supposed to be, to get them the funding, to get them the salaries up to speed, okay? So we need to do that. They were talking about getting body cams. They want to tax you some more. They want to put another tax on you. Well, I think we can get the body cams funded like that through ARPA grant funds without raising your taxes, okay? So I want to see where the taxes are being allotted, because right now when you look at the tax situation, our taxes for Clark County, okay, this much goes to Clark County. The rest of it is going to Washington State schools, Vancouver City, libraries. okay, we're gonna have to do some reallocation there and stop the schools from taking more and more money because they're failing our kids. They're failing the community, okay? So that's what we're gonna do. My time's up?
Yes. Sounds like your time's up. Thank you, Doug. Okay, now we'll flip-flop and we'll let Doug answer the next question first. I'm sorry, Misty. Everything okay? Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay. Well, I was going to do rebuttal at the end. Yeah. I will give you guys an opportunity to offer a little rebuttal at the end of the questions. So if there's a point that your candidate, your opponent makes that you want to rebut, you'll have an opportunity towards the end. Second question, I want to ask about our transportation issues. At Clark County today, we've probably written more about transportation in the 6 years that we've been in existence than any other topic, even COVID. And so it's obviously an incredible issue right now, and at the center of that issue is the Interstate Bridge replacement. You mentioned District 1 and the city of Vancouver. It's even more, possibly more critical for the people in your district than other districts. But anyway, so let's talk about the Interstate Bridge replacement, and specifically the modified locally preferred alternative that was provided in April from the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program team. I'm going to give you an opportunity to pick any issue, because there's a ton of issues in this. I'm going to give you an opportunity to pick any issue involved in the I-5 bridge replacement that you want to discuss, and you got 2 minutes. Doug first.
Okay, well, this one's going to be fun. All right, the I-5 bridge debacle, let's just call it what it is up front. I'm going to be fully transparent, and I'm not going to pull any bones about this. This is a joke from the get-go. It's just a way to take your money, okay? It is not a plan that the people need here in Vancouver, because they can paint it with all kind of brush strokes and all this stuff, and it's still gonna look bad, okay? $5 billion, really? When I can build another third bridge now for $1 billion? Or I can build 2 more bridges for less money than what they're talking about. If you would go, as a concerned citizen, if you would go to the site thirdbridgenow.org, you'll see the plans that have been in progress now for a couple of decades, okay? This is the most sensible approach to what the bridge is talking about, okay? What they're talking, they're gonna be fighting with the Coast Guard forever, okay? They wanna bring light rail into the community, into Vancouver. They wanna everything is agenda driven by these folks, okay? They don't wanna listen to the truth. And when they get done with this, if they happen to succeed, you'll have worse traffic problems because you will not deal with the Rose Quarter on the I-5, okay? That's just, oh, we're gonna make it wider. Oh, watch what we're gonna do. And then when you get to the Rose Quarter, it doesn't solve the traffic congestion. What the Third Bridge Now project talks about is it will take you down to Sauvie Island, it will get you over to the 30 and back over onto the 5 further down the road. This makes more sense for truck freight. Truck freight can go right down to the ports. That makes more common sense to me. It should make common sense to everybody, but these people on the IBR team, they don't want to deal with that because they're agenda driven. They're driven by C-Tran and they're driven by MaxLine. We already put, oh, wrap it up. Okay, we already poured $374 million into Oregon already with income taxes, and they want to toll you on top of that? Forget it.
Thank you, Doug. Again, Glenn, pick any element of this discussion that you want.
Sure. You know, this is a tough subject. It really is. We've been dealing with this subject for how long? Long time. And the reality is that we have not seen anything change. Nothing has happened in this entire time. So one of the struggles with this is, first of all, that our role as a county council, we don't even have a vote in this, so we cannot affect the change. The only thing that we can do is come up with a resolution, which the council is currently working on right now, to address some of the things, some of the needs of our community, and ask for those things to be changed, change the LPA. And so the question is, I don't know if you're aware that we have a council member across the river that has said that if they got their way, that we would have a new I-5 bridge with 0 cars crossing. And that is the reality of the partner that we have on the other side of the bridge. And although I would love to see a third bridge, I think that we need it, we absolutely do. Anybody that sits in traffic all day knows, and we know it's damaging us every day economically because we can't get our goods and services north and south through our community. But we have to have a partner. We can't land a bridge where a partner refuses us to put the other side. And that is unfortunately the reality. And when we, as a community, we didn't pursue the bridge last time, the last project had three through lanes and 2 auxiliary lanes. And fast forward 10 plus years today, and now that LPA is 3 through lanes and 1 auxiliary lane. So our options have gotten worse. And this is the only thing that we can do right now for our community. Yes, it is far from perfect, but we've got to move forward with the I-5 bridge. And hopefully we have a willing partner down the road that will at that time look for a third bridge.
Thank you, Glenn. And we're going to let Glenn go first on the next question. And you can rebut here in a little bit if you want to. One of the roles of the county councilor is to oversee the county budget and finances. And I want to ask you guys if there's an area of county expenditure where you feel the county could be more efficient. And I'm going to let you pick any area. And this is a broad question. Is there a place where you think the county could spend more resources, or is there a place you think the county could spend fewer resources? I give it to you, Glenn, first.
The county budget's over 1,000 pages long, so I haven't read the entire thing clearly. And the truth of the matter is there's always some belt tightening that we can do, right? But there's also a point that you get where you can starve yourself of resources to the degree that you become completely inefficient. And that's happening. That's happening with our sheriff's department. That's happening with our jail. So we have got to take a whole look at the entire thing and have a transparent conversation. One of the things that many people are not aware of is if you actually look at the numbers of the budget, you might be surprised at what you see. And the general fund for the county has not kept pace with inflation. And that's a problem. And that's something that we as a community really need to talk about. It's not keeping pace. Not only is it not keeping pace with inflation, but on top of that we have, I believe, about 6,000 new residents every year that the county has to provide services for. So it's not just about tightening our budget in certain places and moving it over here. We need to have a really broad discussion overall about funding for all of the important things that we have in the county. We need roads, we need our emergency services, we need facilities that can help people. We need mental health facilities in our county. There's a lot of things that we need, and so we as a community and our elected leaders owe it to come to the community and have that discussion.
Thank you very much, Glenn. Doug, county budget. What are you passionate about?
Okay. The county budget needs to be, let's just say, reorganized, and they need to live within their means right now, just like you have to live within your means right now with the situation that's going on in this country, okay? With all the inflation, with all the rising costs. I don't think it's going to behoove the county to go and say, we want to raise your taxes on top of it because we want to do this, this, and this. I think we need to cool our jets as far as the taxes go when the county budget comes up, and we need to look to rearrange how we're going to funnel and use monies, okay? That's gonna be the best approach, because soon as you tell somebody, hey, the county needs this, and we're gonna raise your taxes to do it, guess what happens? Whoa, no. So we're gonna have, if something like that happens, we're gonna have to be real transparent and explain definitely what the need is and what it's going to accomplish. No more of this hidden agenda stuff. It's like, where's the money going? So part of what I want to do when I get in there is to find out where the money is going, how it's being allocated, because I think we can find, I mean, if the county has a 10 million surplus right now, I think we can work within that for a little while until we get things straightened out. So let's address the things as they come up. The Sheriff's Department, homelessness, safety, those are going to be priorities. Of course, we're going to work on that to get the sheriff and our crime, the safety of the community up to snuff. That's going to be the most #1 thing, because that's the one priority people are concerned about, okay, is get the Sheriff's Department up to speed to where they need to be. Let's fix crime and homelessness, and we'll talk about homelessness a little bit later.
Okay, thank you very much, Doug. Okay, you're absolutely right. Glenn mentioned it in his opening comments. You just mentioned, let's go into homelessness. You guys got great eyesight because you're reading right off of my notes here. But let's talk about homelessness, and I think it's Doug's turn to go first. What's the solution? What can Clark County, maybe not a solution, that may be too strong of a question, but what can Clark County do to address the homelessness issue?
Okay, part and parcel of this is reinforcing the Sheriff's Department, okay? When we deal with the homeless, we already have lots of laws on the books already regarding the situation with homeless. I understand that, you know, they're saying right now that you have to provide housing before you can take these people off the street. You know, that's all well and good, but what got them there in the first place? We have to learn how to deal with the whole person, how they got there in the first place. 80% of it, even a UCLA study said 75% of all the cases are drugs and mental illness, and they go hand in hand, okay? So there are some, the other 20 or 25%, yes, that need a helping hand. I'm all in favor of what's called the NET program that our curtain man, Ray Reynolds, is running for sheriff, and he kind of instituted this program, and the city tried to shut him down on it. Okay, we want to reinstitute that, because the answer to the homelessness situation is community involvement, not just government, okay? We want to get people from the, yeah, it's not just government, because you know what they do when they get their hands on the money. Oh, where did it go? I don't know, we spent it somewhere. This becomes a business to them, so I don't want that to happen, okay, with our money. We can get people who are professionals in the mental health industry, the medical industry, the business community, to provide jobs, to find shelter, faith communities to help with the drug addiction. There are so many opportunities for the community to get involved. And so what we want to do with the NET program is basically have a one-stop number. We're trying to build an app for that, a one-stop number, so that when we approach a homeless person, we say, look, we've got the means and the ways. The county has extra money. They do a $10 million surplus, have the ways and means to get you off of the street, okay? Get you whole, get you restored, get your dignity back. And if you don't want to do this, you got two options. You can either go to jail or Portland. And I don't know which one is worse, but you're not going to continue to do that here in Vancouver.
Glenn, how would you address homelessness?
Well, so my opponent mentioned professional. Who is a professional? Is anybody here familiar with the Navigation Center from Vancouver? Okay, not very many. It was a complete disaster. It damaged a neighborhood that was already vulnerable, and nobody got better. And when some of the discussions took place about the center at the city council, the term best practice was used. So that is really the core of the question here. Who's the professional on this? And again, it goes back to what I said earlier. Has what we've been doing working? It's not. And so what we need to do is we need to become more creative and start to actually look at the situation and how to address it in a way that's different from before. And it's not just to do something different. It's because you have to think about it from a whole standpoint. How do you get somebody to be healthy who's not? And that is the struggle. That really is a struggle. And the first thing we've got to do is for multiple reasons. One is, anybody familiar with the Boise decision? Okay, and what that means is that we cannot prevent people from living on public property if they're not creating a safety hazard or blocking traffic, if we don't have a place otherwise for them to stay. And so that really kind of ties our hands behind our back in terms of enforcement. So we've got to get those individuals into some form of shelter, and we need to do it faster than the 109 that we saw increase over the 2 years. Because at that point, we then can enforce no camping laws in the city. And I'll tell you real quick, I know this is going to be my first time going over, but this is an important point. I just want to say, think of how many of us, we make a New Year's Day resolution, something we want to change about ourselves that we don't necessarily care for, and how many of us are successful with it. It is hard to change habits you have. Now imagine that being a drug addiction, chemically addicted. That is hard to do. And you cannot, now imagine trying to get your New Year's resolution done if you had no roof over your head. If you could not leave your space without being worried that anything would be left in your space when you got back, because there's no security. It is complete chaos living in the streets, and the only way that these individuals are going to be able to improve their lives is to have a shelter over their head. So we've got another big community conversation that we need to have.
And thank you very much for that answer. I'm going to go into now and give you an opportunity to rebut anything you've heard here tonight. And you're also going to have another round where you can make your closing statement, so you can manage your comments however you want. But is there something that we discussed in the past half hour that you'd like to comment on? And again, I'll allow you to make closing statements in the next round.
Sure, a couple things came to mind. The first one would be that, yes, Vancouver actually is paying probably more than their fair share for the jail space. They actually pay a lot of money per person to have that. Any individual that comes from Vancouver, they have to pay that fee to the county. So you don't need to look into it, because they are paying their fair share. And the second thing I would say is ARPA funds are one time. Now we can use them to pay our law enforcement officers a raise to keep them from skipping town and going to another jurisdiction. But if we do that, they're no longer available for anything else. They're one time. And so they're not available for body cams. They're not available for streets. They're not available for anything else. So we need to keep that in mind. Those ARPA funds are important, and we need to make sure and use them right, but they're not the answer to all of our problems. The other thing with body cams is the inexpensive part is the purchase. The expensive part is all the work that goes into storing all the footage, to editing it, to making sure that privacy laws are protected and such. So one-time funds aren't going to do it. So it's important when we have this discussion, again, it's a comprehensive conversation. We can't single one little thing out. It's a whole picture.
Thank you, Glenn. Doug?
Yeah, regarding that, yes, ARPA funds are a one-time, but it can be a big one-time to last for a little bit. And then we take the operational and maintenance costs. We'll look for the funds within the county, okay, reallocating those funds, because apparently that is a serious need, right? Safety in our community and having that. So we don't have a choice. We've got to go find the funds within the budget to make sure it happens. It's a non-discussion, okay? Yes, we need to get the body cams. We need to get our sheriff's department up to speed with the costs, what they need to support themselves, and then the O&M, the operation and maintenance of that with the body cams. Yes, we will find it within the county funds. That's we have to.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Keep the mic, and now we're just going to give you an opportunity to make a closing statement and wrap this up however you would like. Doug, you go first.
All right. Again, thank you for having us up here to speak with you folks today. It's a tough decision that we face here in our county, in our state, everything that's going on. You got somebody up here in Olympia, the so-called governor, mandating that he wants to raise a sales tax on you too. So we don't know where we're going, but I think the county is going to be the last line of defense right here for us. And so we've got to stand strong, and you need a voice and not an echo in the county, okay? I'm not going to play nice. As you can see, I talk, and I talk straight, and I say what I mean, okay? So I'm going to protect under the Constitution the things that this county needs to stand on, period, okay? We're not going to be overridden by any mandates or things that are against the Constitution. I will stand up forcefully for the people in Clark County in District 1. They may not agree with everything, but I will open my mouth and I will speak my mind, and then they can respond back to me in that transparent part of communication with one another and saying, hey, I want to be able to listen to everybody, their thoughts, their opinions, and I'm supposed to wrap it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Glenn, your closing statements.
It's about my 5 kids. What kind of a life do I want my kids to have, and do I want to have to do they have to leave Clark County once they grow up? Do I have to travel to go see my kids? That is not what I'm okay about, and that is what I want to change, is the trajectory that we're going, so that my kids can stand the same chances, have the same opportunities that I did when I moved to Clark County over 20 years ago. I can sit here and I can blow smoke at you and make campaign promises, or I can be honest and say, in order to get there, it's going to be difficult for us to do. We're going to have to make some painful decisions. We're going to have to make choices. We're going to have to decide what our priorities are. Where do our priorities lie? Are we willing to fund our law enforcement? Are we? I mean, that's a good question. So what I promise to do, and I will wrap it up, is have a good, open, and transparent conversation. Let's explain the budget to everybody. Let's find where we can spare a little bit of money. But let's have an honest conversation about where we really are. And then let's talk about what we need in order to get where we have a safe Clark County again. And have a transparent conversation about it, and then let the people decide if they are willing to pay for it or not. Let them decide if they are willing to invest in that for our community. And again, let the people decide. So bring it to a vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Well, everybody, I want you to give these guys a round of applause. They could be doing anything tonight, knocking on doors. They could be doing anything. They had the courage to come here tonight and answer these questions and talk to you. So please, please give them a round of applause. Thank you.